Good morning. Hand today is Jack 10, and we are short-handed. So this is a full ring game, but we are only four-handed. And here we have a button who open raises to 5 big blinds, kind of large. A rather large bet for being short-handed. This player is 9 hands in. He's playing 63-13. Looks to be loose, but it could be a consequence of playing pretty short. So we are looking at this kind of range. This group of hands where I think we could raise. We're going to raise a mix of hands, strong ones, and then draws. We're going to be calling, pretty solid hand here. Oops, that's mine. What do we put him on? It's hard to say. He did raise, so I think we are going to give him a pretty solid range. It could be, ace five's looking to pick things up, so maybe we can discount aces, kings, ace king. I think we can do our, maybe like king 9, our offsuits, maybe jack 10, maybe 9-8. Possibly all of the suited kings, and maybe even the 3 gappers or the 2 gappers here. I think if he does a 3 gappers, then I think we're looking at these offsuit connectors as well. So that's 41%. And then I have that calling range. We could expand it possibly, but for 9 hands versus unknown, we'll go with it. And again, the size might be important. Don't know. So I mean, we have a few notes on him, but right now we don't have a huge number of stats. So I called. I do have to assume, looking at his stack size, that he might be just playing aggressively and just trying to bull people. So I had jack 10, oops, and I called. So let's get our ranges here and see how they play out. I'm gonna say he has a wide range, but again, the larger size may I don't know, maybe it's also a big hand, so maybe aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace, king, ace, queen. He's raising because he knows he has such a strong hand in the first place, and then he sizes down because of his, because he's nervous about it. I don't know. So the board, jack 6 of clubs with 7 of spades. We're looking at 55.3% versus 44.8%. Let's say 7%. So I am ahead, and I think here our play is just to check. Let him bet. I assume based on his aggression, he's probably going to be betting. This is a fairly dry board. Yeah, it hits some of our hands, but when you look at the range of hands, I think he's going to be betting. He's going to be getting folds, quite a few folds probably. I mean, this is 41% no-made hand. I'm going to be folding a lot of those hands. So I'm definitely going to be folding at least 30% of the time, if not more. What is he going to c-bet with? I think he could c-bet with most his entire range. Now, he bet 5 big blinds, and now all of a sudden he bet the pot. I do think that is going to skew. That's going to be a top pair plus. He's looking to make people draw. I also think it could be this pocket pair below the top card and the middle pair. He is hoping, maybe not middle pair as much. I mean, it could be. Maybe any pair just to see where we're at. I think 8s, 9s, and 10s work because it kind of fits in with straight. Could be a flush draw. that he bet that high, but I don't know why. I think that kind of balances out. Again, he had five big blinds, and then all of a sudden bet the pot. You don't know what his standard is. I would lean against this flush draw being, just say, 75. Um, and same thing with the open-ended straight draw. Um, just I don't think he would. I think he would almost bet a little bit smaller, because pot size bets rather big. Um, maybe even the gut shots. Maybe drop the gut shots to 50% of the time that he would actually do that. Um, and maybe even do these pocket pair below the top cards. So maybe something like that. And if that's what he's betting, then it comes down to us. What should we be calling? Well, we know he's going to have some of his draws. Right now we need 30. We have 33%. We're going to get that with our flush draw, at least over two cards. If we only call one, we're not getting the odds. So I kind of think that we should probably be calling with a lot of the hands that we're going to be calling with. So sets, we're going to call a top pair. I do think we can call with a pocket pair below top card with the 9 or the 8, because if an 8 or a 9 comes, that either gives us trips or that's going to give us open-ended straight draw. And right now, I think we're calling here just to see what is he bluffing here, and I think we'll know on the turn. I think if he fires out again on the turn, then we can basically get rid of these pocket pair below the top cards. I don't think I would do any middle pair or these small pocket pairs. I would call with the flush draw. I would call with our probably our gut shots as well, just as our draws. So it's definitely going to be more value than anything, and that could be revealing. So what do? I called, and I don't think we should be raising here. He's shown aggression, even with our big hands. I think we can let him bet the hand for us. Now his, based on my calling range, his equity is improved. So we see a turn of the 3 clubs, and that actually helps our range, our perceived range, because I think we could have called with the club draw. A lot of people do. He can also have the flush draw. And we have to think, if we check here and he bets pot again, I think he's betting because he's not afraid of that flush draw. So we check, and I think that's appropriate. And now he bet 8. And I think that is telling. So I think with that 8, it can go either way. He can have the nut flush draw. What's that? With that size, we're gonna get rid of the. Hold on, he bet. We're gonna say he can bet. Take that back. We're gonna say all flushes. He can bet with that size. With the weaker flushes, he's worried that I have a higher flush. With the ace or the king, he's hoping that I come along or I raise him. So I think the flush is going to be that size. I think the set is going to be smaller. I think the straight's going to be smaller. I think 2 pairs going to be smaller. The over pair is going to be smaller. Even the top pair, but I don't think he's going to be betting pocket pair below the top card. And I'm not even sure if he's going to be betting these draws anymore. I think he is strictly value here at 72.4%. And that means what do I do? I think at this point we can get rid of the pocket pair below the top card. I do think we could be calling with the overcards. Could we raise? I think if we have the nut flush draw, we could raise with the ace of clubs. We know he doesn't have the ace. We set up the raise, and I don't even think it needs to be large. I think we can raise it up to 24, 3 times his bet, and I think that'll get the job done. I think he will give up a lot of his hands. So I think we could. Let's change the color here. I think we can raise with a nut flush draw. I'm a little more hesitant to raise with a second nut and the third nut. So with the king and the jack, really hesitant with that. And that's I don't really see a reason for calling or raising with the open-ended straight draws. I really don't. So then question is, what else can we raise to balance that nut flush draw? I think we could raise with the flush. With the nut flush. So let's see here. Nut flush draws 3 hands. We probably need about 3 hands for our raise. Maybe a set gets us 6 and 3. We turn our set into basically a bluff at this point, and maybe it would be better to I don't think we have any other ace of club hands because it would be the draw. I think the ace of club is just an ideal raising hand. And then I think we're just gonna have to pick it up. I think possibly ace 10 represents a good one because we block. Because that allows 8-9 to call, open-ended straight draws to call, and also we've got. We don't have a 4 or 5 of clubs. That's only 1. We've got 3 and 1. Maybe just those. Maybe we just raise with those. And then we call everything else. I did call. So what I'm going to do is take these out. And I'm going to say again, just we're letting him bet the hand for us, and we're kind of being cautious with the second and third nut with flushes, because I think we can turn those into kind of a bluff. If he calls, we're probably behind. I mean, we could be ahead, but if we check the river, he's gonna check behind his sets and 2 pairs, and I think we're gonna be okay with that. If we check and he bets, I think we can dump those hands, because he's representing that he can at least beat the flush. He can beat our low flush, and he probably has the ace or the king. On these, I think it's a little bit better to check, because then we can maybe go for a little bit of value on the river. Definitely lead with maybe the aces, which seems kind of fishy. Here you check hold, and all of a sudden you lead. Yeah, what else would we lead with those? Would we lead as a bluff? I don't think so. I think it's suspicious. I would probably check and let him bet. And I think if he bets, he would bet to try to get us off, maybe. I'm not liking the line. Not liking the lines at all. So let's get this. I think I'm running into a situation where this is kind of tough to play. So we got 50 combos. I think we're getting ourselves into a hole at this point. And if that's the case, then maybe the best play is just to fold. Maybe the best play is just to fold. 9 of diamonds doesn't really improve much. So my range is equity is 39. He's got 61. We both check. So I do think we're checking here, and this is where it kind of comes down to it. What do we do? Do we lead with that ace of clubs? We could, but again, I mean, who's gonna call? If we lead with the ace of clubs, I think a flush is gonna call. I think the king, maybe the queen is gonna call. Possibly the straight. It kind of depends on how much we have. I mean, we can overbet shove with that ace. Maybe he calls, maybe he doesn't. I do think we have showdown hands, so I don't really think we wanted to. We could probably bluff. Chances are our jacks are behind. He bet twice. I'm gonna guess he has an overpair or at least like ace jack, possibly. You see ace jack. I'm not even sure if he's gonna have the jack 8, jack 9. So we both check. I show my jack 10. He shows 3 jacks. So it's unfortunate that he had 3 jacks. He had that set. Could he have? I don't think he would have folded on the turn. I think he would have called any raise that I made. And I'm not entirely convinced that he would have folded to a river bet. And again, of all of these, if we lead, I think the only ones he might fold would be the top pair, and I think it would be these. I think king jack is questionable too. We'll take those out just so we can see what he's looking at. So we're looking at he's calling 65% of the time. He's folding 35%. You can make a pot size bet. All right, 33%. He's going to fold 35. We show some profit, but that's if he folds all of those jacks and if our reads are correct. If he has all of these hands. Not liking this line, not liking, thought process. I think we get kind of tricked up on hands like this, and maybe it's because he had such a strong hand to begin with. But I mean, he bet 5 big blinds from the button, RFI 5BB from button with jack jack, and then C bet pot with trips. There. So we take some notes on him. So he is going to be a player that could do that. So if we go back and revise our play and say, okay, let's narrow it down. Let's say he is doing this with his solid hands, probably not even bluffs. I think that's going to change a little bit. Say something like that. Like that is his pre-flop raise range, and then we've got jack, 6, and 7 of spades. Would he bet pot size again? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to bet those flush draws for that size. I don't think he's betting any of his draws for that size. I don't think he's betting pocket pair. Top pair, yeah, we'll say top pair plus. He bets that, and then 3 of clubs, and then he bets small, and you can just see what his range is looking like. He does have, like the nut flush draws. He has all of those, and I almost think, like, if he had that nut flush draw, he might still bet it large. whereas the second and third he might be betting a little bit smaller, and that is part of our overpair. So I think with our overpair then, we'll get rid of those. And our last we're here, definitely strong. And the question is, what is he going to fold? I'm not sure if he folds anything. Definitely not the sets. Maybe he gets sticky with the overpair, but we called with the 8, and then if we lead, it's possibility that he would fold. We just don't know how many hands we don't know his stats, his fold to river stats. Some guys will get sticky, some guys not so much. They'll say, yeah, you must have the club. All right. Hope you enjoyed this kind of hard one. Look tomorrow for another.